Hello students, myself your biology mentor VIKAS LAMBA. In today's lecture, we will be discussing the very first chapter of developmental biology, that is human reproduction. From the Neet point of view, we are having three chapters in developmental biology. First one, the human reproduction, the second one, reproductive health, and the last one, human health and disease. So, let's get started from the very first chapter, that is human reproduction. Human reproduction. It's the most important chapter from the point of view of Neet, as every year 3 to 5 questions are asked from this particular chapter, right? So, early in the morning, I was going through some newspaper headlines. I saw some lines like, blah blah person has expired and he is survived by his 2 kids. What does it mean? Someone has expired and still surviving. That simply means he had done reproduction when he was adult. Yes or no? Individuals continue their information by a very incredible, miraculous process, that is reproduction. Individuals die continuously, but the species maintain its continuity with the help of a very important process in this biological world, or say in this whole living world, and that particular process is what? Reproduction, right? The individuals give rise to offsprings similar to themselves. So, this is all about reproduction, and we will be discussing the human reproduction right here, correct? So, in human reproduction, we will be discussing the reproductive part or the reproduction processes in human beings. Human beings are basically viviparous. First point, that is very important point, what human beings are viviparous. What does it mean? It means they give birth. They give birth to individuals like themselves. Yes or no? Individuals like themselves means they don't lay eggs. Yes or no? They give birth to the individuals like themselves. This is what we call viviparity. That is, human beings are viviparous, correct? They are exclusively sexually reproducing. They are sexually reproducing. What does this mean? It simply means they produce gametes. They produce what? Gametes. Yes or no? So, the female body produces female gamete and the male one produces male gamete, and both the gametes get fertilized, right, to form a single cell zygote from where the life of every human has started, right? Okay, so we are having different events in human reproduction. So let's get started. We will be discussing the events in human reproduction. Events in human reproduction. Correct? The first and the very most important event in human reproduction is, we are having a series of events. The first event is gametogenesis. The first event is what? Gametogenesis. What is gametogenesis here? So, biology is nothing but biology is all about terminology. Just go through that particular terminology, just understand the terminology, and you will understand the whole concept. So, this particular gametogenesis is formed by two different words. First is gameto and the second one is genesis, right? Gameto means gametes and genesis means generation. The process of formation of gametes or the process of generation of gametes is what? Gametogenesis. Yes or no? So, humans are unisexual individuals. What does it mean? Unisexual means that one individual will form one type of gamete and the second one will form second type of gamete. There are in animal kingdom, there are many examples where same individual can produce both male and female gametes. That is a kind of bisexuality. But humans are what? Humans are unisexual. The male individual will form the male gamete and the female individual will form the female gamete. Yes or no? So we are having two types of gametes, the male gamete and the female gamete. Both are basically generated or produced by different individuals. So such kind of generation of gametes or such kind of sexual arrangement is known as unisexuality. Yes or no? That is, human beings are dioecious in nature. We are having a different terminology. Dioecious means, di means two. Getting me or not? Means the two individuals will perform the sexual reproduction, right? So the first event in human reproduction is gametogenesis. The gametes are being generated, gametes are produced in this particular process. Yes or no? Gametes are basically produced in primary sexual organs, that is testes in males and ovaries in females. We will be discussing each and every process, or say the male gamete generation or the female gamete generation in later classes, right? So we are basically in a kinda orientation lecture right here. So the first event in human reproduction is gametogenesis. Let's proceed further. The second event in human reproduction is insemination. Is what? Insemination. What does this mean? It's a very important process. So have a look. Insemination. Once the male and female gametes are produced, then these two, like this is a male gamete and this one is a female gamete, these two gametes are brought together to get fertilized. Yes or no? So like in human reproduction, we are having a female reproductive part, like these are fallopian tubes, and we are having ovary right here. Getting me or not? Okay, these ovary release ovum or say secondary oocyte. Yes or no? Okay, these secondary oocyte is transferred to the fallopian tube or some in between, the region in between this particular fallopian tube, and this is known as ampulla isthmus region. We will be discussing it in very detail in next coming classes. Okay, so this is the female gamete, and the male gamete which is produced by male is to be transferred to this female genital tract. Yes or no? Okay, so male gamete is what? Male gamete is sperm. But when this sperm is formed, or these sperms are formed, these are present in a fluid which is known as semen. Yes or no? Okay, so semen is having sperm and seminal fluid. Yes or no? What is seminal fluid here? When semen is produced by the testes of the male individual, these sperms are basically nourished by a fluid. Yes or no? Which is basically secreted by different glands like seminal vesicles, like bulbourethral glands. Yes or no? So many glands secrete different types of fluids, and these sperms are basically suspended in that particular fluid. Yes or no? So when this particular semen which is having sperm or say male gamete is transferred to this particular female genital tract, this process is known as insemination. The process of transfer of male gamete to the female genital tract is known as insemination, and not only the male gamete is transferred, the whole semen get transferred to the female genital tract. Say yes or no? So that's why in means inside, in means what? Inside, and semination means semen get transferred inside the female genital tract. Getting me or not? So this particular process is known as insemination. The male gamete, I repeat it again, the male gamete get transferred to the female genital tract, yes or no, is known as insemination. So right here, through the female genital tract, the male gamete get transferred to the female genital tract, like this is vagina, we are having the next region, that is cervical canal, from here the uterus, from uterus to the fallopian tube. Yes or no? So this particular male gamete is transferred and these two gametes get fertilized here at the ampullary isthmic region of the fallopian tube. The most important question from the point of view of Neet. Yes or no? Many times it has been asked in Neet. Yes or no? So ampullary isthmic region. So we are having a region of fallopian tube where the both male and female gametes get fertilized, right? So the second event, that is transfer of male and female gamete, the transfer of male gamete to the female genital tract is known as insemination, right? Okay. The first event, the gametes are generated, and the next event, the male gamete is transferred to the female genital tract. Very important, most vital event of human reproductive system. And the third event, that is fertilization. Getting me or not? So we have discussed it earlier that when the male gamete get transferred to the female genital tract, both male and female gametes get fused with each other. Yes or no? Okay. That is what fusion of male and female gamete is known as what? Fertilization. It's the most vital event in human reproduction. Most vital event. The male gamete and the female gamete get fused with each other, and this particular event is known as fertilization. We also call it syngamy. We also use a term for this particular process or event, that is syngamy. Getting me or not? Perfect. So let's get started with the further events. When both the male and female gametes are fertilized, like this one is the female gamete and this one is the male gamete right here, these both get fertilized. After fertilization, we are having a single cell. Getting me or not? That is known as zygote. Zygote word is derived from a word that is zygous, which means pair. So zygote is what? Pair of two things. What are those two things? That is, one is male gamete and the second one is female gamete, right? Okay. So after fertilization, this particular zygote develop. Yes or no? The continuous series of divisions are observed in this particular zygote. So zygote is a single cell. Zygote is a single cell which further divides by mitotic divisions. What are mitotic divisions? These are equational divisions. These are what? Equational divisions, which we study during cell cycle and cell division, right? So zygote divides by mitotic divisions and multiply the cell number. Okay. The initial stage of development of zygote is morula, and the morula get developed further in blastula. Morula is basically solid cell mass. The initial phase of development of zygote, or say the initial phase of development of embryo, or say the initial phase of embryogenesis. Okay. This morula get further developed and form blastocyst. What is blastocyst, or say blastula? So right here, this solid cell mass having no cavity, but after further development, this particular cell mass having some cavity kind of things, and that particular thing is known as blastula. So the fourth event right here, the fourth event we are having is attachment of this blastocyst. Attachment of blastocyst inside the uterus. Getting me or not? The blastocysts get implanted into the uterus, and this particular event is known as implantation. Very important. So what is implantation? Right here, when the blastocyst get implanted into the inner wall of the uterus, then this particular event is known as what? Implantation. Getting me or not? Okay. The fifth event after implantation is what? When the blastocyst get implanted into the wall of the uterus, or say the inner wall of the uterus, the further development of embryo started. Say yes or no? And the whole, from embryo to the whole fetus, or say the whole baby, the further whole complete development occurs inside the uterus, and that particular phase of development of the whole fetus or the whole baby is known as what? It is known as gestation period, or say gestation. Yes or no? That is what? Development, further development. Development from embryo to the whole baby. And in human beings, this particular gestation period is of 9 months. After 9 months, the whole baby get developed, and after completion of this gestation period, we are having the sixth event, that is parturition. So what is parturition? After complete development of the baby, the baby get expelled out of the body. Yes or no? After complete development of the baby get expelled out of the female body, and this particular process that we call giving birth to the baby. Yes or no? So this process is known as what? Parturition. So what is parturition? Right here, parturition is giving birth. Okay, let's revise all these events again. We have discussed from the very first statement that human beings are sexually reproducing. They are viviparous. Yes or no? They give birth to the individuals like themselves. They don't lay eggs like birds and some primitive animals, right? Okay. In human reproduction, or say in reproduction of humans, we are having a series of reproductive events. The first event, that is known as gametogenesis. What is gametogenesis? The process of generation of gametes or the production of gametes is known as gametogenesis. Human beings are unisexual. The male human will form or produce the male gamete, and the female individual will produce female gamete, right? So the first event in human reproduction is gametogenesis. The next event after gametogenesis, these gametes are brought together, getting me or not, by a process insemination. The whole development of the baby is inside the female body. Say yes or no? So male gametes are to be transferred inside the female body, and this particular process is known as insemination. The male gametes are basically present inside a fluid, a nutritious fluid that we call what? Semen. Say yes or no? So there are millions of sperms, or say male gametes are present inside semen, and that semen get transferred into the female genital tract, and that process is known as insemination. After the process of insemination, the male gametes are basically sperms, and which are in inactivated form. When any male ejaculates, or say produce gametes, or say ejaculate semen, the sperms inside the semen are in inactivated form. When the male gametes are transferred inside the female gamete, those gametes are activated, and that particular process is known as capacitation. We will discuss the process of capacitation in detail in upcoming lectures, right? Okay. So the second event is insemination. The third event is what? The most important or the vital event in human reproduction, that is known as fertilization. So what is fertilization? Right here, the fusion of male and female gamete, yes or no, is known as fertilization. And after fertilization, both the male and female gametes get fertilized to form a single cell, zygote. Getting me or not? That is basically diploid in nature. The male gamete is haploid, the female gamete is also haploid. Yes or no? When this particular male gamete and the female gamete, which both are haploid, get fertilized, then the single cell zygote is formed, which is diploid in nature. Getting me or not? Okay. So this is the life of every human individual has started from a single cell zygote. This particular single cell zygote started division or say start mitotic divisions, and from those mitotic divisions the very first stage of development of human embryo, that is morula, is formed. Say yes or no? Morula is basically solid cell mass having no cavity. Morula further developed or further cell divisions, continuously cell divisions occur in what? Morula, and this particular morula get developed into a structure which is having a specific cavity, and that particular structure is known as blastula, and that blastula or say blastocyst get attached inside the inner wall of the uterus of female body, and that particular event is known as implantation. That is the fourth event of human reproduction. After implantation of the blastocyst, we are having the long gestation period or the development phase of the baby. Say yes or no? So that gestation period is basically nearly about 9 months in human beings. In different animals the gestation period may vary, correct? Okay. So after completion of the gestation period or after the complete development of the baby inside the female body or say inside the uterus, this particular fully developed baby get out of the body, and this particular process is what is known as giving birth to the baby, and more technically, scientifically or biologically, the term used for giving birth is known as parturition. So these are the basic events present in human reproduction. In further or upcoming lectures, we will discuss each and every event in detail, correct? Okay. So note it down. The most important thing right here is when these events get started in any individual. Yes or no? All these reproductive events start after attaining a certain age, and that is known as puberty. So we will discuss puberty right here. What is puberty? What is puberty? So all these events which we have discussed in human reproduction, or say a series of events, that is we have discussed nearly 6 events in human reproduction, including gametogenesis, insemination, fertilization, implantation, and after implantation the gestation period, and the last one, that is parturition. Say yes or no? So all these events occur in any individual after attaining a certain age, and that particular age when the gametes start formation, say yes or no, that particular age is known as puberty. Getting me or not? Okay. The age, or more technically, the age of attaining what? The age of attaining sexual maturity is known as puberty, and it's not a simple line or say a simple age like after 10 or after 11 or after 12. The puberty is a gradual process. Yes or no? It takes years. Like in males and in females, the age of puberty is different. Like in Indian regions, the males attain puberty at the age of 13 to 15 years, and the females attain puberty at the age of 11 to 14 years. Yes or no? So the age of puberty also depend upon the geographical regions. Yes or no? The areas like tropical areas or the areas near equator, the warm areas, basically the age of puberty is basically lower. Like the individuals attain puberty early in their life, but in the areas where the temperature is lowered, or say in cool areas or the colder areas, individuals attain puberty later in their lives, but the difference is not that much. Yes or no? So like in warmer areas, the age is like this, and in the colder areas it may increase. Say yes or no? Perfect. So after attaining the puberty, the male and female individuals start formation of gametes. Perfect. Let's get started. with the next topic. The changes during puberty. Changes during puberty. So the age of puberty is very sensitive. It's a dramatic phase. Say so, it's the most disturbing period for any individual. Say so no, some individuals get introverted, some individuals get more extroverted. Say so no, it's a kind of experimental period in any individual's life, right? So there are many changes present in the age of puberty, the male and female. We'll see the changes. Some changes are similar in both male and females, and some changes are differences. So in case of males, the voice deepens. But in case of females, the voice doesn't depend, right? In case of males, moustache and beard start developing. In case of males, what? The sweat glands develop. Armpits start sweating. In case of males, confidence increased. In case of males, body image, consciousness increased, kind of. Same things also happen with females as well. Pimples, development on face, sweat glands also develop, armpits start sweating, they get introverted. The first phase of menstrual cycle, or say menarche, started. Menstruation started. So there are n number of changes which are observed during puberty in both male and females, right?